After two games that had Knicks fans feeling confident, everything changed in Game 3. The Celtics didn't just win, they dissected New York's offense piece by piece, exposing a flaw that could derail the Knicks' entire postseason run. It wasn't about one hot shooter or a lucky run. It was about a targeted, calculated game plan that attacked New York where they're weakest. And now the secret's out. Coming into Game 3, the Celtics were down 0-2, and the pressure couldn't have been higher. On the road, in Madison Square Garden, against a Knicks team riding momentum and belief. But instead of folding, Boston came out with a sense of urgency and a plan. A 22-point blowout wasn't a coincidence. It was a statement. And at the heart of that statement was their defense. It started from the very first possession. The Celtics weren't reacting, they were dictating. What they did was smart, but more importantly, it was simple. They leaned into their defensive versatility, matching up in ways that gave them control over every Knicks possession. Once again, we saw Jason Tatum take on the opposing big. That move might seem odd on the surface, but it's become a blueprint for this team. With his size and strength, Tatum can body up most centers, especially in isolation, allowing Boston to switch every ball screen without giving up easy mismatches. And it's not just Tatum. Jaylen Brown was all over the biggest forward, physically shutting down drives and refusing to get moved off his spot. If the Knicks tried to get crafty with screens to force a switch, Boston was ready. Because even when those switches came, there wasn't a weak link to target. Derek White and Drew Holiday. They're bulldogs, strong enough to hold their own in the post, quick enough to chase anyone around the perimeter. This kind of switch-heavy defense only works if every player can hold their ground, and Boston can. That's what gave the Knicks so much trouble. Their usual offense relies on hunting mismatches, slowing the game down, and putting guys like Brunson or Randall in isolation. But against the Celtics, there were no mismatches to hunt. Every switch just brought another elite defender. And when you can't create an advantage off the dribble, the whole offense starts to stall. That's where the first crack showed. The Knicks weren't getting the usual looks. Their rhythm was gone. Instead of clean ISOs or quick drive and kicks, they were forced into late clock decisions and heavily contested jumpers. You could see it in the body language, uncertainty, hesitation. Even their best scorers looked like they were second-guessing every move. But it wasn't just defense. It was how the defense led to offense. Every stop became a fast break opportunity. Every missed shot turned into a transition run-out. And that's where Boston killed them. When the Celtics are locked in defensively, their offense becomes even more dangerous. Pritchard flying off the bench and making shots, that doesn't happen without those stops. The Jays getting into space and attacking downhill. That's the result of New York scrambling on the back foot. Boston's ability to turn defense into offense isn't new, but in Game 3, it looked like they flipped a switch. Every possession felt like a chess move. Nothing was accidental. And by the time the third quarter rolled around, the Knicks weren't just down on the scoreboard, they looked lost, like they weren't sure what to do next. And that's when you knew. The Celtics had figured something out. Something bigger than just one game. They exposed a structural weakness in the Knicks' offense. A flaw that might not have shown up in the first two games, but was hiding there the whole time. The kind of flaw that doesn't go away with one adjustment or a hot shooting night. This isn't about effort, it's about design. And the Celtics just laid it bare for the whole league to see. The Knicks' biggest issue isn't just a one-game thing. What the Celtics exposed in Game 3 was a deeper, systemic problem, one that's been quietly lingering beneath the surface all season. And now that it's been brought to light, It's impossible to ignore the Knicks are too dependent on isolation scoring, and when that gets shut down, they don't have a reliable backup plan. Their offense is built around two key creators, Jalen Brunson and Julius Randle. Both are capable scorers, no question, but their games thrive when they're able to break down a defense, create separation, and draw help. That's what opens up the rest of the floor. But Boston's switch everything defense eliminates that space. When Brunson attacks, he's not finding a slow-footed big or a smaller guard, he's staring down Drew Holiday or Derek White, defenders who don't need help and won't give an inch. And when there's no help, there's no kick-out, no scramble, no easy reads. Randall, who usually bullies his way into the paint or forces a mismatch, found himself getting walled off again and again. Tatum and Brown didn't just contain him, they frustrated him, forced him into awkward shots and tough angles. That's not a slump. That's the result of a team who knows exactly how to take away your comfort zone. The numbers don't lie. The Knicks shot just 38% from the field and barely cracked 30% from deep. But it wasn't just bad shooting luck, it was the shots they were forced to take. Almost everything was contested, off balance, or late in the clock. The Celtics dictated the terms of every possession. They weren't reacting, they were setting the rules. And once New York started missing, the other problem showed up, their transition defense. When Boston gets stops, they become a different beast. Every rebound turns into a sprint. Pritchard, Brown, and Tatum were flying down the court. The Knicks couldn't keep up. And it wasn't just effort, it was positioning. New York had too many guys crashing the boards or stuck in no man's land, leaving them completely exposed on the other end. But maybe the most telling moment came not during a highlight play, but in a dead ball timeout. The Knicks huddled up, heads down, searching for answers. You could see it. This wasn't just a bad stretch. It was confusion, doubt. The Celtics had taken away their plan A, and New York didn't seem to have a plan B. That's the scary part. When you're built around ISO-heavy stars and those options get neutralized, your offense becomes predictable. And in the playoffs, predictability is a death sentence. Opposing teams watch film, they study habits, and now, after Game 3, the blueprint is out there for everyone to see. This isn't just about beating the Knicks in one game, it's about exposing the limits of their system. The Celtics didn't need to trap or double. They didn't need to run gimmicky defenses. They just matched up, switched everything, and let their individual defenders go to work. And the result? A complete shutdown. The Celtics made it look easy, but it wasn't. It was preparation, execution, discipline, and most of all, belief. Even after dropping the first two games, they didn't panic. They adjusted, they focused on what they could control, effort, matchups, shot selection, and they trusted that their style of basketball would win out. It did. So now, the pressure shifts. The Knicks can't just hope for better shooting or a bounce-back game from their stars. They have to confront the real problem. What happens when their isolation game doesn't work? Can they adapt? Can they evolve mid-series? Or will the rest of the league follow Boston's lead and keep pressing on that same pressure point? Because make no mistake, Game 3 wasn't a fluke, it was a warning. The Celtics just exposed the Knicks' biggest issue, and if they don't fix it fast, this series might turn quicker than anyone expected.